Hello and welcome to the Digital Marketing Podcast, brought to you by targetinternet.com. Welcome back to the Digital Marketing Podcast, and we're going to be talking about funky tools that we use on a day-to-day basis.
I'm not sure they're funky, but we'll talk about tools anyway.
They're funky.
Okay,
I reckon they're funky. Well, okay, they're not all funky. They're all quite useful though.
This comes from the fact that I was running a training course the other day. So as a lot of you probably know, I run lots of training courses for lots of different organisations, and we had some listeners of the podcast along to a 3-day training course I was running, and they said, there's lots of tools in the training course. There are lots of tools you talk about. How about putting together one podcast episode and a blog entry to go with it that just lists off some tools that you find most useful that you're using on a day-to-day basis? So I just wanted to go through some of these. Some you will have heard of that we've mentioned previously. There are some great new ones in here as well. Ciaran has mentioned some quite exciting ones that I hadn't come across before as well. So we're going to go through them, check the show notes. There'll be links to all of these as well. So check it out. So we're going to start with 3 that are very useful for keyword research. Reasonably well known, but search engine optimization tools. One of my favourites and least known is when you're trying to brainstorm new key phrases or keywords. So you're trying to work out what people are searching for, and you're trying to work out connected words. So you start off with a particular phrase, and then you think, what else are people searching on? And it can be a bit of a hard one. Well, if you go into Google as normal, you do a search. On the left-hand side of the page, if you go down, you'll quite often see something that says more search tools, and there's a menu that you can expand, or it may be expanded already, and there's something down there called Wonder Wheel. If you click on Wonder Wheel, it will show you a visual representation of words that are connected to the search word you're looking for. So it's a good way of just starting off and just finding out what words people are actually looking for.
And that's in Google Analytics.
It's just in Google, in the Google
it's
search.
Just in Google.
On the front page of Google.
That.
Yeah, there's because it's down on the left-hand side, no one looks at it.
No.
So you check out the Wonder Wheel. It will show you all the connected words. You can then click on one of those words and it'll open up another wheel, and it will show you some more words that are connected as well. So definitely worth taking a look at. The other 2, which you may or may not come across, are Google Insights. So you just search on the word Insights, and you'll find Google Insights up at the top of the search results. Google Insights allows you to see trends in searches. So you put a particular word in, you can select a date range, a country, and it will give you some great insight into the relative search volumes for that particular phrase, what countries and locations people are more likely to be searching in. So just because it shows, for example, the UK above the US, doesn't mean that more people are searching the UK. It means you're more likely to search if you're in the UK. It then will show you what the top search is. So what are the variations of that phrase that people are looking at? And it will also show you the rising searches. So the words that more people are starting to search for recently. You can also compare search terms. So you might say, okay, well, I'm not sure if people are searching for the singular or plural of this word. So say you're searching for jobs. Are people searching for a job or the word jobs? Well, you need to know, because you need to get exactly the right word on your page that people are actually searching for. So what you do, you go and you put in the word job, put in the word jobs, and it will show you comparative volumes and compare the 2 phrases. You could also look at competitive brands. So you could put in Nike and Adidas, see how people are searching for those kind of things. So Google Insights, great for relative search volumes. What it doesn't give you is actual numbers. So if you want the actual numbers, the Google Keyword Tool is the best place to go. Again, search keyword tool, and you put a search phrase in. The one that you get at the top of Google is the external version. And what I mean by that is you don't need an account to log in. So in order to use it, you have to put a captcha in. So one of those annoying things, you have to put in some letters that are impossibly hard to read. You put those in, and you will basically put a search phrase in. It will give you all the variations of that phrase, and it will then tell you how many people are searching globally per month, and how many people are searching locally. And locally meaning the country you've actually set it to. So you can start to see how many people you're actually going to get potentially searching for that phrase in the first place. So there are 3 free tools from Google that can do an awful lot of your keyword research for you and help you out a lot with that as well.
And as with any tool, the real power is in how you use them to kind of focus. And I just wonder whether you've got any top tips, because this is something I regularly hit whenever it comes to keyword research, is that I get so drawn into it and so overwhelmed by the amount of data that's returned that you can just sort of not see the wood for the trees and just get lost in that whole keyword landscape. Have you got any kind of tips on what kind of processes do you? How do you remain focused when you're going into this glittering cave of search engine keyword gorgeousness?
Okay, I think the key thing is that you look at you've got two different options. You can go and look at your website as a whole, and the problem with you looking at your website as a whole is that you might be covering an awful lot of themes. So what you really need to look at is a particular piece of content or a particular page, and you say, what's the main theme of this page? What's the product or service or offering that I'm trying to provide? You start with that as a base point, and you're building a keyword list around that particular section or even particular piece of content. And you're trying to say how people are searching. Am I actually including those phrases into my content? However, I caveat this as well. I'm on a bit of a rant lately about SEO. The key thing is that if you're producing content that's relevant for your audience, it's more than likely that you're naturally including the phrases that people will actually want to see. All you've really got to make sure is that in your headings, in the page title, you've got the primary phrases in. So what are the keywords that people are searching for? And just make sure you haven't missed anything major. So I think you've got an overall primary set of key phrases that are overarching for your website, 20, 30 phrases maybe. And then you look at your particular segments of content and you start to look at the multiple variations there. That way you don't get too bogged down in things. I would spend more time writing content than I would doing keyword research. Just produce the content that's relevant and interesting. Don't get too bogged down in the nitty-gritty of things. So it's a good kind of brainstorm, but don't get lost in it.
Yeah, that's good advice. I think maybe that's where I've perhaps gone wrong. You can get too greedy with these things, really. And actually, I'm a big fan of just keeping it simple. Just get the general thrust right. And actually, you did right. I think content now does kind of go far further and could potentially work so much harder for you if it's good targeted content. Because that's ultimately what you're doing, is you're providing stuff that the users can make use of, rather than just helping them find stuff that you want them to see.
Exactly. And I think we're doing an episode very shortly on SEO and some little SEO techniques. And I'll rant about it plenty more then as well.
Excellent. Hold that rant.
Just moving on, more tools. A couple here. You've got Google Ad Planner or DoubleClick Ad Planner. DoubleClick is an ad serving platform that Google have purchased. And if you search DoubleClick Ad Planner or Google Ad Planner, you'll get this coming up. What this allows you to do is two different things. One, you can benchmark other websites. So you go in, you tap another website in. It only looks at the major websites that have got